I killed my own reflection that night in the psych ward mirror, smashing it with the heel of my hand until shards bit into my palm like accusations. They thought I'd finally cracked, the doctors with their clipboards and pitying nods. But all I saw in those fractured pieces was the truth, my sister's face staring back, wearing my life like a stolen dress. And in that moment, as blood trickled down the sink, I whispered the vow that would unravel everything. I'll make you bleed first, Evelyn, before you even know it's me. It started 6 months earlier, in the sterile hum of a black site lab buried under the Nevada desert, where the government funneled billions into projects too ugly for congressional oversight. I wasn't supposed to be there. Madeline Hargrove, 32. Heir to Hargrove Industries, the kind of name that bought senators and buried scandals. But that's the thing about family. They don't just take your money, they take your skin. Evelyn, my older sister by 2 years and a lifetime of resentment, had always been the golden child. Sharp as a stiletto, with our father's jawline and mother's ice blue eyes. She climbed the boardroom ladder while I handled the dirty work, the overseas factories, the whistleblower payoffs, the midnight calls to fix what couldn't be fixed. We grew up in that sprawling Greenwich estate, the one with the infinity pool overlooking Long Island Sound, where summers meant yacht parties and winters meant ski chalets in Aspen. But beneath the caviar and crystal, it was a viper pit. Dad built the empire on steel and shipping, then oil rigs in the Gulf, amassing a fortune that made Forbes' wet dreams. He died in 18. Heart attack mid-deal in Dubai, leaving the company to us in equal shares, 50-50, with a clause that we'd run it together or watch it burn. Evelyn burned it first.
Or tried to.
She found out about the affair. I'd been sleeping with her husband, Victor, for a year. Not out of love. God.
No.
It was leverage. Victor was a snake in a Brooks Brothers suit, whispering boardroom secrets while I whispered doubts into his ear about Evelyn's erratic decisions. But she sniffed it out, the way predators do, and turned it into a weapon. She planted the evidence, forged emails, doctored ledgers showing I'd siphoned millions into offshore accounts. Embezzlement. A crime so clean it stuck like tar. The trial was a circus. Front-page headlines in the Post. Hargrove heiress flees with fortune. I fought it. Hired the best, K-Street sharks who billed by the hour, but Evelyn testified. Tears glistening like diamonds, painting me as the jealous black sheep who'd cracked under pressure. The jury bought it. 10 years in federal lockup. Minimum security, but soul-crushing all the same. They stripped me of my shares. Forfeited to the company under some archaic bylaw Evelyn unearthed with her lawyers. I went in innocent. Came out a ghost. But here's the hook they never saw. I didn't crack. In prison, I made deals of my own. A cellmate, ex-CIA Black Ops, hooked me up with whispers about Project Echo, a DARPA wet dream. Neural mapping tech meant to enhance interrogation, body swaps. Essentially, map one brain onto another via nanites and VR immersion. Seamless as a deep fake, but in the flesh. Experimental. Illegal outside war zones. But the kind of thing you fund when you're desperate for an edge. I bribed a guard. Got coordinates. 6 months ago, on a rainy Tuesday transfer to a medical evaluation, they injected me. Not with salvation, with Evelyn's scan. Waking up in her body was like drowning in silk. The opulence hit first. Penthouse views of Central Park. Silk sheets that cost more than my old cell. Then the horror. I flexed fingers that weren't mine. Stared into a mirror that lied. Evelyn's laugh lines. Her manicured nails. Her scent, Chanel No. 5 mixed with betrayal. The real Evelyn? They dumped her consciousness into my body, shipped it back to the ward as Madeline Hargrove, deceased by suicide. Poetic, right? She got the fall guy, the broken shell. I got the keys to the kingdom. For weeks, I played the part. Board meetings in tailored Armani, schmoozing investors at the Palm, all while mapping the rot. Evelyn, my Evelyn now, hadn't just framed me. She'd been running a shadow op. Hargrove Industries wasn't just steel anymore. It was pipelines snaking through indigenous lands, bribes to EPA suits, and a side hustle in fentanyl precursors shipped via our Gulf fleet. Victor knew. Our cousin Trent, the CFO, orchestrated the books. Even Uncle Harlan, the elder statesman, signed off on the hits, quiet ones, on whistleblowers who got too chatty. I bought shares anonymously through Shellcore, funneled from a slush fund I'd hidden pre-arrest. By last count, I owned 52%. Silent majority. They thought the crazy sister was rotting in a padded cell. They had no idea she was sitting at the head of the table. The family meeting was set for tonight. In the Hargrove Tower boardroom, 47th floor. Glass walls overlooking the Hudson at twilight. Official agenda. Strategic pivots amid regulatory scrutiny. Translation: how to bury the latest SEC probe into our irregular shipments. I arrived early, slipping in through service elevators in a janitor's jumpsuit I'd swiped from the basement. No one questions the help in America. We're invisible until we mop up the mess. They'd locked the storage room off the boardroom, some renovation excuse, but really to stash overflow chairs. I wedged the door, cracked it just enough to watch. The room filled with vultures. Evelyn's no. My inner circle. Victor, nursing a scotch, his tie loose like he'd already won. Trent, fidgeting with his Rolex, eyes darting.
Harlan,
Puffing a cigar despite the no-smoking signs, his jowls quivering with anecdotes. And there, at the head, the puppet, the new Evelyn, in my body, doped on whatever cocktail kept her compliant. She looked small, slumped, eyes vacant, a cruel echo of the sister I'd been. Let's call it, Victor said, voice like gravel. The probe's heating up. We need to offload the Gulf assets, quietly.
Trent leaned in.
To who? The Saudis? They'll lowball us. Harlan chuckled, smoke curling. Or we make it disappear. Like that nosy reporter last year. Boat accident. Right? The new Evelyn stirred. Bumbling. Madeline. She knew. They laughed.
Laughed.
Victor patted her hand like a pet. That's the ghost talking.
Love.
Your sister's worm food. My fists clenched. Nails, Evelyn's nails, digging crescents into palms. Not yet. Patience was my new skin. I waited, breath shallow, as they plotted. Liquidate shares. Scapegoat a VP. Bury the bodies figurative and otherwise. 90 minutes of bile. And then dismissal. They filed out, chattering about dinner at Le Bernardin, oblivious to the shadow in the storeroom. I emerged like a specter, flipping locks, striding into the empty boardroom. The city lights mocked me below. A glittering lie. On the table, the agenda packet, my ticket. I signed in as YH, initialing the proxy votes I'd rigged through my shells. Then, the call. One ring to my lawyer in D.C., the one who'd stayed loyal. It's time, I said. Invoke the shareholder clause. Emergency board recall, tonight, by 10 p.m. The tower buzzed. Alerts pinged phones. Valets scrambled. They reconvened, bleary-eyed, assuming some regulatory hiccup. Victor arrived first. Rumpled shirt. Scotch breath. Trent next. Cursing traffic. Harlan last. Cigar relit. The new Evelyn wheeled in by an aide. Her, my body, a limp marionette. I watched from the observation lounge upstairs. Anonymous in a borrowed blazer. Heart pounding like a war drum. The feed crackled on. What the hell is this? Victor barked, waving his phone. Emergency recall? From who? The door swung open. Not me yet. My proxy, a stone-faced attorney named Reyes, entered with a briefcase. By order of the majority shareholder.
Yes.
Madeline Hargrove.
Gasps.
Laughter.
Then.
Harlan wheezed. That lunatic? She's dead. Reyes smiled. Cold. Presumed. But legally, very much alive. And she owns 52%. The room froze. Victor's face drained to ash. Trent bolted for the door, too late. Security. My security now. Blocked it. Reyes opened the case, documents, wire transfers. The damning ledger I'd reconstructed from prison's smuggled files. Embezzlement charges against Evelyn Hargrove, real Evelyn. Framed her sister.
Oh.
And the shadow ops. Fentanyl routes. EPA bribes. That boat accident. All here. The new Evelyn twitched, eyes clearing for a split second. Recognition? Horror? She mouthed. Maddie. But I wasn't there. Not yet. Let them stew. Down in the boardroom. The air thickened like the prelude to a storm. New York storms. The kind that flood subways and short-circuit dreams. Victor paced. Suit jacket slung over his chair. Veins bulging in his neck like overpressured hoses. This is bullshit. Reyes. You're her errand boy. After what she did. Reyes didn't flinch. Ex-Marine. Tattoos peeking from cuffs. The kind of guy who'd stare down a cartel boss over bad tacos. What she did. Let's clarify. Madeline Hargrove was exonerated last month, quietly, via federal appeal. Evidence tampering. Your evidence, Mr. Langford. Trent slammed a fist on the table, scattering notepads. Exonerated? She stole from us. From the family. From the family, Reyes echoed. Voice flat. Funny. Because the ledgers show diversions to your personal Cayman accounts. Mr. Hargrove. And Harlan? That indigenous land grab in Dakota? Your signature on the eminent domain filings. The ones that buried the pipeline leaks. Harlan's cigar dropped ash onto his lapel. Unheated. He was the old guard. 75 and creaking. But his eyes, Dad's eyes, flashed denial.
Lies.
All lies from that vindictive bitch. The new Evelyn whimpered, fingers twitching toward a water glass. The aide hushed her, but she knocked it over. Water spiderwebbing across polished oak.
Switch.
They switched. Victor whirled. Shut her up. She's delusional. But Reyes pressed play on a tablet. Audio crackled. My voice, no. Evelyn's voice from the real her. Recorded in a safe house 2 weeks back. I'd lured her out.
Post-swap.
Under pretense of final mercy. Nay-night hangover left her foggy, but lucid enough to confess. I did it for the power. Maddie was weak. Always the fixer. Victor wanted out.
But I
needed it all. The frames, the drugs, they were mine. Harlan greenlit the hits. Trent cooked the books. Screams erupted. Trent lunged for the tablet. Security pinned him. Harlan clutched his chest, face purpling, real or feigned. Who cared? Victor grabbed the new Evelyn's chair, shaking it. You knew? All this time?
She me?
The ghost stared up, eyes mine, but hollowed by drugs.
Every night.
I dreamed of you dying.
Chaos.
Phones buzzed, SEC tip line hotlined.
FBI en route.
My shares locked the doors digitally. No escape until the feds arrived. I watched the feed. Pulse steady. Evelyn's manicured hand. My hand now, sipping coffee from a china cup. Bitter. Like revenge. But this was just the appetizer. The real feast? Unmasking. I descended then, heels clicking on marble like judgment's gavel. The elevator dinged. I stepped into the fray. Evelyn's poised my armor. They turned as one, Victor first. Hope flickering, then dying.
Evie?
What? Wrong, sister, I said. Voice hers, but laced with my venom. I shrugged off the blazer, revealing the locket, Dad's. The one with our childhood photo.
Engrave me forever.
I snapped it open, showing the unaltered pic, me, not her, smiling at 12. Trent gagged. Jesus. The ward. The suicide. Staged, I replied, circling the table slow. Predator's prowl. Project Echo. You remember the briefings. Harlan, Dad's pet project. Before he keeled over. Neural transfer. I got the upgrade. Evelyn got the downgrade. Harlan wheezed, clutching pearls, metaphorical, but close.
You.
Monster. This is unnatural. Godless. Godless. I laughed. Evelyn's trill turned razor. Says the man who greenlit assassinations over quarterly reports.
Tell me,
Uncle, how many ghosts haunt your Hamptons estate? Victor backed against the glass. Hudson roiling below like his gut. Maddie.
please.
We can fix this. Family sticks together. Family. I spat the word, stopping inches from him. His cologne, same as the nights he'd betrayed Evelyn with me, then her with him. You fucked your way to the top, Victor.
Me?
Then her schemes. But you forgot. I kept the receipts. I tossed a USB drive onto the table, videos, timestamps. His grunts echoing in my old apartment. He lunged. I sidestepped. And he cracked his shin on a chair leg. Pathetic. The new Evelyn reached out. Fingers gnarled, my fingers. Aged by prison stress.
Sis.
End it. Please. I knelt, close enough to smell the institutional soap on her skin. My skin. Tears pricked Evelyn's tear ducts. But my grief. You took everything. My name. My face. My freedom. But here's the mercy you don't deserve. I'll let you watch it burn. Sirens wailed distant.
Closing in.
Reyes nodded. Security hauled Trent and Harlan to holding cells downstairs, my cells now. Victor begged. On knees. Promises tumbling like counterfeit bills. I ignored him, focusing on her, us.
Why?
I whispered, just for her ears. The affair was leverage.
Ev.
Not love. You could have confronted me. Her eyes, my eyes, clouded.
Power.
Always power. Dad chose you in the will, subtle. The advisor clause. You would have edged me out.
Lie.
Or half-truth. The will was equal. She'd forged the addendum. But in that fractured gaze, I saw the child we'd been, braiding hair in these state gardens, plotting against nannies. Betrayal's root, fear of not enough. Feds breached at 11:47 p.m. Cuffs clicked like applause. Victor dragged last, screaming bitch.
At which? Me.
Or the shell of his wife. The new Evelyn they wheeled out gentle. To psych eval, my psych eval. Reversed. I stood alone then. Boardroom a tomb of toppled chairs and spilled scotch. Victory tasted like ash. I'd won the company. The vindication. But wearing her skin? It itched eternal.
Outside.
Rain lashed the tower. New York indifferent. I lit a cigarette, Evelyn's habit, adopted, and exhaled toward the storm. One wore down. But families? They resurrect. Dawn broke gray over the skyline. The kind of light that exposes cracks in concrete and alibis alike. Hargrove Tower loomed like a monolith of my making. FBI vans cordoned below. Agents swarming like ants on a carcass. I retreated to the penthouse, Evelyn's lair. All minimalist whites and abstract art that screamed, I have more money than taste. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the chaos, press vans jockeying for angles. Helicopters chopping air. Heiress hoax, body swap scandal rocks empire. The headlines would scream by noon. Sleep evaded me. I paced in her robe, cashmere. Monogrammed EH, fingering the locket like a talisman. The swap wasn't perfect. Echoes lingered. Her muscle memory made me crave kale smoothies and hot yoga. Mine made me flinch at shadows. In the mirror, her face mocked. High cheekbones, lips that lied easy. I practiced my smile, the new one, mine underneath. Controllable. Weaponized. Reyes called at 7 a.m. Cleanup's messy. Trent's lawyering up. Harlan's lawyered. Heart scare was real. ICU now. Victor? Singing like a canary to cut a deal. And Evelyn, your original, stable but catatonic. Docs say the nanites are degrading. She might not last the week. Good, I said.
But it hollowed me.
Not joy, relief laced with rot. The shares. Locked. Your CEO by noon. Boards in panic mode. Emergency vote to oust the old regime. But whispers. Maddie. Some directors smell blood. They're circling. America's corporate jungle. Eat or be eaten. I thanked him. Hung up. And poured bourbon. Evelyn's top shelf. Ironic chaser. The real revenge wasn't the arrests, it was the autopsy. I'd gut the empire from the inside. Expose every skeleton. Turn Hargrove into a cautionary tale. But first, the loose ends. The new Evelyn me. The husk arrived by ambulance mid-morning. Transferred to the tower's private clinic. I met the team there, white coats, NDAs thick as Bibles. She lay in a bio bed. Monitors beeping her vitals, my vitals.
Once.
Tubes snaked her arms, bruises from the chair-mottled skin that used to tan on ST. Bart speeches. MS. Hargrove, the lead doc, said. Clipboard, shielding his unease.
The.
Transfer. It's unprecedented. Reversal possible. But risks brain fry. Identity bleed. I waved it off. Stabilize her. No reversals. She's me now, legally. Anyway, he blinked. But the ethics. Ethics. I leaned in. Evelyn's charm turned blade. The woman in that bed framed her sister for felony theft. Greenlit murders for profit margins. Save the sermon. Build a company. Alone with her. I pulled a chair close. Her eyelids fluttered, awareness flickering like bad reception. Maddie, she rasped. Voice mine. Gravel from disuse. It hurts. The dreams. Your life. Flashing. I stroked her hand, calloused from prison labor. Foreign to my touch. Mine? You stole it. Wore it like a trophy. Tears tracked her cheeks, my cheeks. I was scared. Dad's shadow. Always comparing. You, the fixer.
Me?
The face. The affair? I knew before Victor confessed. Used it to break you. Confession's gift, no more lies. But it stirred pity. Unwanted. The fentanyl? The hits? That was power.
Ev.
Not fear. She coughed.
Wet.
Power's a drug. Harlan pushed. Legacy, he said. Trent tallied the bodies like debits.
Victor.
He loved the thrill.
Loved.
Past tense. I squeezed her fingers. And now, you get the fall I took. 10 years. Maybe more. For their crimes. Her eyes sharpened, defiance sparking. You'll regret this. The board, they'll eat you alive. You're still Maddie underneath. Soft.
Soft.
The word stung. Truth's barb. I'd fixed their messes for years, paid off the mistresses, hushed the HR suits on harassment claims. But soft? No more. Watch me, I whispered, and left her to the beeps. The board vote convened at lunch. Virtual for the cowards dialing in from yachts. I chaired from the penthouse, camera framing me regal against the skyline. Ladies, gentlemen, ghosts of scandals past. As majority shareholder and acting CEO, I moved to dissolve the executive committee. Effective immediately. Outrage erupted in pixels. Unilateral. Shareholder revolt. One holdout. A silver-haired venture shark named Lydia Voss. Muted then unmuted. Madeline, or whoever you are, this freak show ends your credibility. Investors are dumping. Stocks tanking 15%. I smiled. Evelyn's frost. Good. Let the chaff blow. We're pivoting, full audit. Asset freeze on Gulf Ops. And oppressor at 3 p.m., total transparency. Murmurs. Betrayal's echo. But votes tallied. 52% mine. Ironclad. Post-call. The real storm hit. Stock plunged 28%. Analysts on CNBC called it Hargrove's Halloween horror. Protesters gathered below. Indigenous groups. Opioid victims' families. Signs screaming blood money. I watched from the window. Coffee cooling. Controversial? Hell yes. The swap tech leaked. Anonymous tip. Mine, sparking Senate inquiries. Ethicist op-eds in the Times. Frankenstein airs. When ambition steals souls. Victor called from lockup at 2 p.m. Voice tinny through glass. You win, Maddie. But think, Evelyn dies in your body. You're the killer. Mirror. Mirror. I hung up. Gut twisting. He was right. The degradation was terminal. Mercy killing? Or justice? The presser loomed. I prepped in Evelyn's closet, power suits. Heels like stilettos. Makeup masked the shadows under her eyes, my fatigue. Down in the lobby, flashes blinded, mics thrust like spears. Madeline Hargrove, a reporter barked. Body swap, murder plot. I stepped to the podium, unflinching. Not murder, survival. My sister framed me, ran a criminal syndicate under our banner. The tech, a last resort against betrayal. Hargrove Industries apologizes to victims, to stakeholders. We're cooperating fully, liquidating tainted assets, funding restitution.
Gasps.
Applause from the back, activists nodding. But the questions pelted. Reversal? Your sister. Evelyn faces charges. As for me.
Pause.
For drama. I'm home.
Lie.
No home in stolen skin. That night. Alone. I cracked. Bourbon bottle half empty. I dialed the black site contact. Echo's ghost. Reversal protocol.
Now.
Risks be damned. Soft? Maybe. But revenge without self?
Pyrrhic.
The reversal happened in a ghost facility off the Jersey Turnpike, abandoned warehouse reeking of ozone and regret. No white coats, just techs and hoodies. Nanite injectors humming like angry bees. They prepped 2 bays. One for me, Evelyn's body. Primed. The other for her, my husk. Airlifted comatose. Sync rates iffy. The lead tech muttered. IVs dripping. Degradations advanced. You might wake up. Mixed. Mixed. Brains bleeding together, her memories in my veins. Mine and hers. I stripped to a gown. Lay back. Steel cold against stolen skin. Do it. The immersion hit like vertigo. Light strobing. Neural maps overlaying. Voices chorusing. Dad's scold. Evelyn's laugh. Victor's moan. Pain bloomed. Skulls splitting. As identities warred. I clawed the restraints. Screaming her name, mine, until blackness swallowed. Waking was fragments. Beeps. Antiseptic sting. A face hovering, Reyes.
Maddie? Talk to me.
My voice, mine, rough from disuse, croaked. Where? Secure wing. Your tower. It's done. You're you. I flexed fingers, calloused, scarred from prison weights. My hands. Mirror confirmed, freckles across nose. The crooked smile from a childhood bike crash. Relief flooded. Then dread. Evelyn. He hesitated.
Gone.
Sync overload. Brain death. 4:17 a.m.
Gone.
The word echoed. Hollow. I'd killed her, not with hands, but choice. Mercy? Or the final betrayal? The world spun on without us. Hargrove Industries rebranded. Hargrove Legacy Fund. My decree. No more pipelines. Instead, clean energy grants. Opioid recovery centers. Stock stabilized at half value. But purpose replaced profit. Protesters became partners. Senators subpoenaed. But I testified clean, swap redacted as experimental therapy. Victor plea bargained to 20. Trent and Harlan. Life for conspiracy. The empire crumbled, rebuilt on atonement's shaky ground. But the twist? It unraveled me. Echoes lingered, her cravings for power. Flashes of boardroom conquests in my dreams. Soft Maddie? Hardened. I dated a journalist. Then ghosted, trusted Reyes. Then audited him. Paranoia. Evelyn's gift. 1 year on, at the estate, sold. But I rented for closure. I hosted the survivors. Victims' families, not vultures. We walked the gardens, braids of memory, toasting ghosts. To the sisters, a widow said, who burned it down. I raised my glass, bourbon.
Mine.
To rising. But in the quiet, mirror's edge, I saw it, her eyes in mine, fleeting.
Was I avenged?
Or just the monster wearing better skin? The debate rages in op-eds. Therapy sessions, justice or hubris. Family redeemed or fractured forever. I leave it to you, reader.
Judge.
After all, in America, revenge isn't the end. It's the mirror that never shatters clean.